I never heard about portable. We can't, our guys can't do all this stuff. What do you mean portable for the season and you take it out for the winter? I want sports, yeah. Suzanne? What are we, Wildwood? Have you been on the Wildwood Boardwalk? Yeah. Around Rio Grande? And see, guys play ball. Yeah, please don't stand up. No, it means it's going to be a giant cat.
I wonder if there's some other surface.
Good evening. November 17th, council meeting. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible.
with liberty and justice for all.
Can we please remain standing? Prisoners of war, men and women missing in action. Thank you. Vice President Wentz, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Just so everyone knows, Secretary Billups is on Zoom, which is why I'm filling in for her on roll call and so forth. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that. Okay, Councilman Heyman. Are you here? Councilwoman Blackwell.
Here.
Councilman Drusko.
Here.
Councilman Siddiq.
Present.
Councilwoman Faralia. Here. Councilman Silva.
Here.
Councilman Burke, President Burke.
Here.
Council Secretary Billups.
Here,
Councilwoman Wagner. Here. Councilman Tunis.
Here.
And Vice President Wentz is here. We also have Solicitor Kilkenny, Mayor Keffer, Solicitor Marcini. I had it before. I'm sorry, I lost it. And actually, I forgot to mention, we had Ms. Cicchetti, our municipal clerk, yes, at the earlier meeting as well, and I apologize for missing you. And our officers this evening, who, can you tell us who you are? Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. And that's everybody. And of course, the residents of Upper Darby Township, thank you for joining us this
Thank you,
evening.
Vice President Wentz. Rules of meeting decorum. Upper Darby residents have the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Residents are prohibited from making threats, use of profanity, or act in a manner that would impede or prevent the conduct of business of meeting. Public forum should not exceed 30 minutes. 5.0, approval for the minutes. Can I get approval for minutes from committee meeting October 12th?
So moved.
And council meeting October 19th?
So moved. Second.
First and
second,
second. Thank you, Secretary Billups. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, thank you. Next up, 6.0, public forum. Vice President Wentz.
Okay. So first up for public forum, we have Kyle McIntyre. Please come forward, state your name and your address.
Kyle McIntyre, 1040 Drexel Ave. All right, I'll make this quick. I just want to actually start off, I don't know, obviously it kind of came up earlier than I expected about what's going on in Yaden. Over the last 4 months, we've been working down there ever since Sean Morcho died in police custody. Their police department has been in just absolute shambles, to be honest. I really wanted to applaud this administration, also our police department. I know that's that's a little rare coming from me, but they really did step up, and I have a lot of good things to say. I mean, there are people, that are dying as a result of them not having adequate staffing, police training, et cetera. This is a really good thing for our township to be able to provide this service to other communities. So I just really have a lot of praise to go around for everyone involved and really thank the administration for stepping up here. And lastly, I just want to say, this is UDTJ related as well. Because of the severe effects of inflation, many families are finding it difficult to celebrate the holidays this year. So we are relaunching the UDTJ Holiday Assistance Program in order to prevent the already deep systemic inequalities in Delaware County from getting worse. UDTJ has decided to take direct action on behalf of our community. We will be providing donations of holiday gifts, winter clothes, food items, and essentials for newborns and toddlers to families throughout the holiday season. We currently have over 90 families and approximately 175 children seeking assistance in only the first 2 weeks. So obviously, if you are interested in helping out, please, there is a lot of need this year. I mean, there's also a lot of good programs. So I know you guys are giving away some turkeys this weekend, so it's also good. Definitely go out there. But yeah, that's basically all I had today. And I just, once again, really want to thank our police department, Bernhardt and Barbara Ann Keffer for stepping up to help out Yaden. It's really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is John McDevitt. Please come forward, state your name and your address.
I signed up for that.
Not realizing you meant,
There was a budget meeting. Sorry about that.
okay, no worries, no problems. Okay, next up, we have Olivia Taylor. Please come forward, state your name and your address. And then I'll start the timer.
I'm starting mine too. Olivia Taylor, 204 Kent. I want to talk about, the Sikhs had a parade Saturday. Here we have the last Saturday, hot Saturday of the year, and 69th Street was shut down. We just had one prior. Okay, this has got to stop. We just had a meeting about the budget. You've shut down the most important business district in Upper Darby Township on a Saturday afternoon. 2 hours. But yet you're in here talking about the money we need, but you shut down the business district on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. For what? A group of people who've done nothing for our community but take from it. That includes the Muslims, that includes the Bangladesh, that includes the Sikhs. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? They've done nothing but target our kids with these smoke chops. But yet we're supposed to be happy about this. We're stuck. Marshall Road is now actually two-way. It's only a driver lane and a turning lane. It was a complete nightmare. Whatever money they paid you does not even amount to the revenue that was lost Saturday. Okay? But yet we're in here talking about our budget. Really? Secondly, Brian, Mr. Driscoll, I have to address you because you're sitting there saying that I attacked council. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about anybody's feelings out here. You look pretty nice in your little tweed suit, but you got people sitting out here on the street right now freezing. So when you leave here, you're going home to a nice warm house, okay? So until you can come up with a solution to get these people off the street, I'm going to continue to come in here and attack or whatever label you want to put on it. Do you understand? Okay? So please don't. You're just new here. All right? And Tunis, you want to join in on him. You're not going to stop me unless you want to pay me. Do you want to pay me? This council wants to pay me? Because try. In fact, when was the last time you were on Union Avenue and checked out that parking lot and cleaned them needles up? What have you done for your district? What have you done? Nothing. And President Burke, you read this decorum like it means something. You have no control of these clowns, and that's what they are to me. She interrupts every time. People are actually speaking. Blackwell interrupt. You do absolutely nothing. You have no control of these people. He's sitting over here. He's not a resident, and anything he votes on should be ill and void. But I've yet to hear you say anything about that. But yet you want to stop a black woman from speaking. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, okay? Your feelings mean absolutely nothing.
Thank you. The next speaker is John Vizari. Please come forward, state your name and address.
Good evening, John Vizari, 353 Kirks Lane. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying I was starting your timer. You're good. Rocket.
I'm just going to rinse and repeat. I said I would continually ask this question of you, Mayor Keffer, because at the last October meeting, you referenced that you thought My questioning of the ARPA funds was an opinion, and it's not an opinion. It is a fact that money was moved from an account that the funds were placed in. Account A is where they came in. Account Z is where you put them. And then on December 10th, you took from account Z and put it in account B. Account B being your depository account that funds mostly disbursement accounts. So to put money into a depository account that is funding disbursement accounts, those zero balance accounts, there is a reason why 6.4 million was moved from Pliget to that account. And I'm asking you, what was the reason for the money to be moved? You reference Markham and their totaling of all the general funds. When it was put in Pliget, account A, the balance, whatever's in account A has nothing to do with it. Whatever's in all the other accounts, those 45 accounts, has nothing to do with where that money was placed. So why was 6.4 million moved out of the Pliget account on December 10th, and then another 1 million on January 12th? That's my question, and it's a
Mr.
fact,
Valari,
it's not an opinion.
You keep asking either the same question or different versions of the same question. We just don't agree, you and I,
No,
respectfully about the accounting of the ARPA funds, and that's really all I'm going to say about that. Thank you.
no, that's not an acceptable answer. You moved money. You moved money. For what purpose? The funds were placed in the Pliget account to wait for council's approval of the ordinances for the use of those funds. So your silence is telling me that you did something inappropriate, and you don't want to say it because you don't want to admit it. And I'll continue to ask this question because it's not an opinion, it's a fact. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, just check. Next up is Joanne Namavong.
Laura, can you swap me out with Ed Brown because he has to go pick up his daughter?
Sure, we'll hop over to Ed Brown. Please come forward, state your name and address, and we'll hop back to Joanne.
Good evening. My name is Ed Brown, and I reside at 7111 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Sure.
My purpose here tonight is to address some comments made about me and my nonprofit organization by a resident at a meeting held on 10/12/2022 in this chamber. If you notice or look at my history of speaking, my addresses to this body has always been positive, fair, and respectful. This address will be no different. To address some of the comments made, I don't apologize for serving my community and the wonderful residents and citizens of Upper Darby in multiple capacities. I don't apologize for giving up my personal time and family time to serve as a member of the Upper Darby School Board since 2017, and also as the current business manager and former president of Men of Action Brothers of Faith since 2012. Perhaps the resident doesn't know that you are allowed to serve your fellow man in as many ways that your heart and time will allow. There is no conflict of interest in serving in multiple capacities. Thank you, Bonnie Hallam, for your eloquence in pointing that out last month. The resident mentioned the school district's ARPA money as if I personally benefit from that in any way, or if that has anything to do with the township's ARPA money that's going to be allocated for nonprofits. That is ridiculous, and I'm sorry that this body has to be and continue to be subjected to such foolishness. I do truly feel bad for all of you. One thing is clear, and it's been proven over and over again. Even if you come to this microphone and scream your speech and try to say it with a lot of passion, it doesn't mean that it makes sense and that the entire council isn't praying for your 3 minutes to end. The First Amendment is great, but having to listen to such vitriol month after month makes for a very long meeting, I'm sure. The work that you do should speak for itself, not the volume of your voice. Furthermore, I will say for the record that I highly respect the other nonprofits based in the township who, like us, are genuinely trying to do good work, such as Tailor Made Vets, Recovery Without Barriers, Murphy's Giving Market, and the Bywood Community Association. I treat all these organizations with respect and don't view it as a competition, even if some of them do. I can proudly say that I facilitated partnerships with each of these organizations in the past and have worked on various projects with them, including our family holiday giveaway just last Christmas. Some of these organizations' family members personally benefited from this event. The same resident who attempted to disparage me was also a part of this event. It is really disingenuous to partner up on projects and then bash and attack the same people that you work with when it's convenient or if it serves your needs. There is one last point that I'll make for clarification, and I'll thank President Burke for trying to explain it at the last meeting. I was initially contacted and asked to be a part of the committee being formulated to evaluate nonprofits and determine their suitability for ARPA funds. I immediately recused myself, saying that it would be a conflict of interest since my organization would be seeking funds to execute our mission for the benefit of Upper Darby residents. That was my decision as soon as I was asked. I don't apologize at all for seeking and receiving grant money in the past from this body and from Mayor Keffer, because I'm grateful for receiving it, since 100% of all of the money that we raise or receive goes back into our programming. Every dime, every time. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Thank you. And
Thank you, Mr.
also,
Brown.
Mr. Brown, thank you. And thank you for all that your nonprofit does in our community. We do appreciate it. I know I've helped. I know every council member has helped in some way.
Every one of them.
And so we do greatly appreciate all the work that you have. And Councilwoman Farrelly had a question.
What happened? That you were accused of something?
There was just some comments made saying that I should focus on the ARPA money for the district and not, worry about ARPA money from the township. They have nothing to do with one another.
Right.
In my capacity as school board director, of course, the township of the district receives money, ARPA money, just like the township does, but that doesn't benefit me personally in any way.
Right.
It benefits the residents in the school, the students in our district. But I'm also a member of a nonprofit, I serve in that way, and we will be seeking, as we have in the past, like CDBG money and grant money to help our mission, which helps people in Upper Darby.
Well, I do appreciate everything you do.
No problem. Thank you for the question.
Brown, I'm going to say that as well. Real quickly, it's just ironic. I actually thought today about texting you to see when you were going to start taking donations for that. I know that you did a great job last
We're
year.
feeding 700 people Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. The Tuesday event will be in Upper Darby at Murphy's Giving Market. That's our location for the people that we'll be feeding. So I will send a flyer to President Burke so he can distribute it to the rest of the team and to also to Mayor Keffer, if that's okay.
That'd be great, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, and thank you for your donation last year.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we have Joanne Namavong. Did I say it right twice in a row?
So Joanne Namavong,
Yeah.
very good. 133 North Pennock Avenue. I'm going to be very short. I just have 2 words. Arthur Anderson. Thank you.
Can you explain that a little more?
Arthur Anderson is a consulting firm for
Can you
accounting.
please just look it up? Google it. Thank you. Google.
Arthur
Arthur
Anderson is
Anderson, please Google it.
Consulting firm for accounting. It's international consulting firm for accounting, if you're referring to that, perhaps. Okay, I am. We're very familiar with accounting firms for finance.
Becky Dugan? Duggan, sorry.
That's good, Laura.
I
You're
forgot
good.
the second G. I got Namavong right.
I know, that's
I mean,
harder.
come on.
Becky Duggan, 129 North Pennock Avenue. Just to be very brief, I'm going to start off on a high note. I'd like to thank Laura for inviting us to the Archer Epler VFW post for the Veterans Day service they had last Friday. It was a very nice service, and I appreciate the other members of council that came too. And now I want to ask the mayor, every week we come here and people ask about the police contract, and every week, every month, and you say it's an arbitration. Who is the person, which side is the person that won't bend? Is it you or is it them?
Excuse me?
Every month we come here and you say, the police contract's in arbitration, so an arbitration.
Right.
Okay, well, who's the holdout? Somebody come to the middle, somebody give a little bit.
That's why we're in arbitration,
Yeah, but
because
you've been in
both sides
arbitration
couldn't
for,
reach
you've
an
been in arbitration
agreement.
for a long time. They haven't had a contract for 2 years. So
Well, we did spend a lot of time with the FOP and the administration trying to iron something out, and it didn't work.
well, then I
and
suggest that you be the one to bend.
it's gonna be played through, but thank you for your suggestion.
Okay. And next up is Sapiro Pappas. Is he still here? Nope. Okay, then I think we're done.
Thank you, Vice President Wentz. Next up, the Honorable Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Tonight, we concluded with the second of the budget hearings. I'd like to thank our department heads for their time and their input, as well as the public's comments and also the time that the Finance Committee spent on working through this budget. A lot of time and careful planning was spent to create this, and it underscores my administration's commitment to reinvestment, revitalization, and reform for Upper Darby. I would say this, it calls for, a 6.7% tax increase. We haven't had a tax increase for the last 2 years, and we need one to cover the cost of, the projected cost of the contracts, of the expenses in, for fuel and utilities. And I would ask that council consider taking some of the $11.7 million in revenue replacement, moving a couple million towards this budget and bringing down the millage increase and the percentage increase of the tax increase that we really need to have to continue providing the services that we do here. Mr. McDevitt might like this because it was in the paper, but I'll just give a brief account of the fact that our fire department has achieved a better ISO rating. So it is upgraded from a 3, which it's held, the department's held since 2014, to a 2. And we're really proud of the work that the entire department has done to make this happen. The official name for this rating is the Public Protection Classification, or PPC. It's informally called a fire score. The PPC score is a rating of how efficiently your fire department serves your local community. A low ISO score will inspire the community to trust in the services provided by the fire department should they ever need them. Lower scores can also decrease home insurance rates in the community. A good ISO score indicates that a fire is not likely to severely damage or even decimate a building because the fire department is well-trained, staffed, and has suitable resources. Our new ISO rating goes into effect February 1st, 2023. We will be hosting a tree lighting ceremony again this year on Wednesday, December 7th at 6 p.m. at the 5 Points intersection in front of the Township Building. I hope to see all of our residents come out and join us as we light our tree, enjoy local entertainment, and welcome in the holiday spirit. Light refreshments will be served. I would like to wish all who celebrate an early happy Thanksgiving. Sometimes I think to myself, what am I thankful for? But I am very thankful for the hard work of our Upper Darby employees, particularly our public works staff, who ensured that 5 days of trash pickups were completed in 3 days last week, and they worked diligently to inform the community of the changes caused by the short week. I do encourage residents to sign up for Delco Alerts at www.delcopa.gov/DelcoAlert, or follow us on Facebook to stay informed about holiday trash and recycling schedules. We have a holiday coming up next week as well. Thanksgiving will be celebrated on November 24th. There is no trash or recycling collected on that day. You can view the holiday trash schedule by visiting upperdarby.org/trash. The municipal building will be closed on Thursday, November 24th, and Friday, November 25th. In addition, I'd like to announce that there will be free parking next Saturday, November 26th, for Small Business Saturday, and that's throughout the entire township. That's metered parking, the meters and the kiosks. The public safety violations will still be ticketed, should they occur. We hope everyone takes advantage and shops at the many small businesses in our township. And I have some good news to share. Upper Darby has been awarded $2 million in RACP funds towards the community center. We are very grateful to both our state reps, Gina Curry and Mike Zabel, and Senator Tim Carney for their help in securing this grant for our community. And now I would like to allow Steve Nitz, who serves as chair of Upper Darby's Historic Commission, to give a presentation to council concerning the preservation ordinance. Oh, and Bart Evers. Yay. Hi, Bart. Ordinance and survey. So just so everybody knows, I think this is true, Councilor Wentz. The zoning committee does have a copy of this ordinance.
Can we have the presentation put up on the screen, please?
This is that, okay.
So
We need Eric.
hopefully, we have a PowerPoint. Hopefully it'll come up on this. Here we go. So thank you for having us. Thank you for letting us speak about the work of the Historical Society and especially about the ordinance that we would recommend the council pass. I'm Steve Netz and this is Bart Everts. And the current Historical Commission has taken up work that goes back to 2007 and may have even.
You gotta tilt the mic up to you because.
Okay.
Can you speak up? Because I
Better?
can't hear you.
Yeah, because they can't hear you if.
Okay.
Sorry, they can't hear you if you're not using the mic.
So the current Historical Commission took up work that was begun in 2007. There was considerable work done with 19 contributors under a National Park Service grant and in cooperation with Delaware County Planning Department. They completed a survey of the historical properties, which we'll take a look at in a little while, and historic places in Upper Darby, following the National Park Service guidelines. This work was revised in 2012. Among others, Bill McDevitt, Barbara Marinelli, and other Historical Society members worked on this update. The current commission has been updating the survey materials, in other words, visiting these properties, making sure they're still intact, taking new photographs. We also have been working on this draft ordinance with Kilkenny Law. Bill McDevitt, who is also an attorney and a member of the Friends of Sellers Hall, did the first draft. So can we go to the next slide, please? In addition, the commission has been taking on related projects like the Upper Darby Underground Railroad Trail Guide and doing some group site visits. And we plan to continue those activities. There is a reprint of the guide coming up, and we're going to put some signage on a couple of the properties. There's Riverview House on Shadeland Avenue. It's next to Holy Cross, which is just a parking lot. And the other one is Pecos. It's also a historic site. We've come up with an elevator pitch. You'll see at the top here that kind of describes what we do. We can go to the next slide, please. And Bart, will you take over? Yeah, sorry. And Bart's going to take you through some of the advantages of an ordinance.
I'm sorry, Steve, what was your name, please?
NITZ. Sorry, I had the mic. So adding a historic preservation ordinance is a way to protect historic properties, basically by giving a chance to have an overview if someone's proposing either tearing down or altering buildings. What it doesn't do is ban any sort of development or those sorts of things. It just gives a process for us to protect our historic structures. Can you move the next slide? So what it does, it opens the township, its businesses, its community to many opportunities. Case studies have demonstrated that communities with a robust preservation efforts are able to attract businesses, tourism, and investments in areas that might otherwise be forgotten or neglected. Upper Darby's location is ideal to attract historic tourism from visitors to our neighboring city, but with its own unique history to tell. The Underground Railroad walking tour that was started a couple years back has demonstrated that there is, received rather, really positive community feedback and media attention as well. And so it sort of showed that Upper Darby is a place people will come to for its history. So basically, this is giving opportunity for us to preserve more spaces so Upper Darby's story can continue to be told and maybe told in a larger context. Moreover, communities with preservation ordinances may become eligible for federal and state grants for different forms of funding. Federal guidelines allow up to 10% of a state's historic preservation funds to be transferred to certified local governments with these ordinances. So those are some of the ways in which having an ordinance is advantageous to the township. So go to the next slide. Who's doing this? Oh, there we go. So the survey criteria that we're using, it goes in detail on that slide, but part of the process actually, I think you skipped over one. Is there one next there? Okay, so we're going to the survey. You can keep it on that one for a second. I'm going to move into that. So part of the process in creating an ordinance is to create a survey of historic resources in our community. The Upper Darby Historic Commission survey is a living document. It's been updated in several key years, beginning in 2007. And it basically identifies historic resources throughout Upper Darby. Some specific ones Steve will talk about shortly. Now I can move to the next one. I thought it was one ahead. So some of the criteria for a building to be added to the historic survey, it can be something as simple as the age of the structure. For others, it might include a notable resident that lived in that space. It could be a notable architect or a representation of a certain architectural style. A good example is downtown Upper Darby contains some of the region's best representations of the Art Deco architectural style, so that's a good example there. Some buildings may have multiple reasons to get historic designations. Example would be the Tower Theater, which would have an architectural merit as a historic structure, but it also may be the site of a notable concert or the fact that it's very representative of Upper Darby itself. Those are all reasons that it could be added to the survey. So these are just some of the ways that a building might be added to the historic survey, to that list. And Steve's going to actually detail a couple examples that are on the current list to further illustrate that.
Thank you. Thank you. The next slide shows you, it's an overview map of all of our historic sites. Now, we didn't do this ourselves, but this was provided to us by the state. But it's really kind of amazing to see, and I can send you a link to this. You can mouse over each one and see what they are. It's very interesting. We can go to the next slide. Here's a sample of an individual survey document. So it photographs, it's a physical description and a historical narrative for each one. And as I said before, the considerable work went into this. There was a paid staff that did all this. Now we currently have just volunteers, and we're updating materials, but we're really benefiting from what's been done in the past tremendously. Next slide. That's a detail of the same property. It's kind of hidden behind township line. You wouldn't even know it's there. But again, this sheet is another sheet following the guidelines that exist for each property. Next slide, please. Now, I just wanted to show you one problem property, and this is sort of like a case study for me anyway. If we had an ordinance when this property, which was still habitable, as you see it in the picture, was purchased, and they got a clearing from the zoning commission. Next slide, please. This is original condition. Next slide. And if you've been past here, this is about 2 years ago during COVID. This happened. A lot of demolished. They did a demolition, and eventually all the windows were left out. Then it sat for a year like that. Next slide, please. And this is what's currently going on. This is maybe about a month ago, but They gutted the whole building, and they're putting a third story on. Now, all I want to point out is, this is Upper Darby. Yes?
Yeah, that property, State Road and Turwood Avenue, correct?
Exactly, exactly. So that was a historic farmstead. So this being Upper Darby, we're not talking about doing anything crazy here, but if we were able to talk to these people with the Historical Commission, I would ask them to at least restore on the third level the dormers that were there.
Excuse me, for the public
They haven't
record,
done-
can you just clarify the district, President Burke, please?
That's First District, right before Drexel Line coming down State Road.
Well, this is a good illustration of why maybe it would be good to have this ordinance in effect so that there's a
Exactly.
little bit more
Exactly.
attention
So that
before permits
we
are
have-
issued or whatever for
So
historic
what would
properties here.
Next slide, please. This is how it would work, right? When a zoning officer, a property comes up and they ask whatever, demolition, whatever comes up, they would check the survey. They would find out it's on the survey list, notify us, and there would be put a hold on it so that we can provide evidence to you guys about what we can make our case, the owner can make his case, and then finally you would decide what to do. This is how we see it working. And that's it. Any questions?
Actually, I just want to say thank you very much for bringing this forward, because I know that there are a lot of properties, other properties throughout the township that had historical value, that because we didn't have this type of ordinance in place, it wasn't there to protect it. Like, and when you were talking about the Tower Theater, the tower itself was removed without anyone knowing what's happening until it was already happening. And other properties like that, where preserving our history would be, favorable. So definitely. And I do apologize. Councilman Heyman did send it to me, but I didn't understand his email per se, because it was actually very confusing for me. And so I did not forward the ordinances forward to anyone at that time. I just did today. I sent it to all of council. Ms. Cicchetti, so that we can get it onto the agenda for next month.
That's great. And we're happy to answer any questions or be involved in any way you want.
Okay, great. And I believe it would probably go under the Law and Government Committee. Is that right? Or is it a zoning? It's zoning because of zoning?
We'll shoot it your way. We'll shoot it your way.
Everyone has it. So any committee that wants to meet and discuss it is welcome to meet and discuss it.
All right,
It's not limited to any one committee.
I have a couple questions. So are there two ordinances, or is it just one? The list of the survey, is that an ordinance, or is that what is that? Or is that part of the
Yeah,
preservation?
good question. So there's the ordinance that references the survey. So the ordinance stands alone, except that it references the survey, and the survey is something that's a living document, as
Yeah,
you
so
pointed out.
is the list of properties that would fall under the ordinance.
And in other they change from time to time in other municipalities. Sometimes they retract historic districts, sometimes they expand them. I've seen it happen in other places.
Right, it'll change over time. It'll have to be updated.
Right.
Yeah.
Through resolution, right? I know, after the ordinance is set, it would adding
Is the
an
list an ordinance?
address would be through resolution, right?
I think it could be,
Yeah, okay, that's,
What do other places do?
So Norristown has an historic district, Norristown and Jenkintown have an historic district, that places I represent. And they have an ordinance very much like yours. And then they do have a resolution where they update and change from time to time.
The survey?
Yeah, for example, Norristown many years ago did a very expansive HARB, and now they've pretty much limited it to around the Montgomery County Courthouse. And that was like a policy decision from Norristown Council. But
So this is a little bit different because it's not creating a historic district.
No.
It's just single
places, but yeah.
properties, and then we go
Correct.
from there.
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
guess
thank
we
you.
look forward to the council chiming in on on the ordinances, and hopefully we'll get it to December 6th. I guess it is December 7th. So, Alexis, did you want something to say?
Oh, yes, that would be great.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it for the mayor's message.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Barton. Everybody. So next up, we have myself. Earlier, Mayor Keffer had mentioned the rough week that we had of trash pickup and leaves picking up. I know quite a few of us gotten some phone calls and some emails about leaf collection. We have a full week this week. They're working hard. Next week, we have a day off. So hopefully before the snow gets, they'll clear all the streets that they have to. That has about all I have to say. Next up, we have,
President Burke?
yes.
I'm just curious, and the question is, so why don't you feel comfortable with our first Black solicitor, Courtney Richardson, attending meetings?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, it's fine. Why don't you feel comfortable with our first Black solicitor, Solicitor Richardson, attending council meetings?
Never said that. And I've never
So
said
you
I
do-
didn't feel
do-
comfortable.
Do you feel comfortable with her attending
Absolutely.
meetings?
I don't feel comfortable when it's a pick and choose whether she sits next to me. One meeting, she decided not to sit next to me. The following meeting, she did sit next to me. For, we'll say 18 meetings or even more, whether Solicitor Kilkenny and Solicitor Richardson were here and myself here, and then all of a sudden last meeting, she decided not to sit next to me. So I asked the question, what was the problem?
So
And the
what,
following meeting, I believe, was Solicitor Kilkenny was at a different meeting that night, and Solicitor Richardson sat next to me. So I asked the question, why all of a sudden was the change? That was my question.
okay, so you have no problem with her attending council meetings?
Never said I had any problem. I just asked.
You just
why
have a problem with her moving her seat,
I just asked why she moved. That's all.
which she's free to do, right? She's free to sit. I'm asking, or is
Yeah,
she only allowed to
just-
sit
I
next
asked
to you?
why. I asked why.
Okay, so you have no problem with her?
No, no.
All right. Another question is, when you met earlier this week with the public safety chairwoman, why wasn't the other public safety members involved? And what was the summary of that meeting?
Okay, so I had questioned Solicitor Kilkenny, and Solicitor Kilkenny,
What was the question?
it was about the issue about the parking permits. The issue that came up last meeting about parking tickets and parking permits, and some people, well, one gentleman said, he lost his car, so I wanted to get to the bottom of it, and I asked Solicitor Kilkenny about information that, some information that people said that tickets weren't going to the courts for 12 or 16 months or 9 months. Public safety did meet prior to that with Director Coles. She clarified her position on the tickets and where they were going. I kind of disagreed where they went, but not disagreeing that Dr. Coles, she was doing her job where she explained to us where she sent them, whether they went through hand-delivered, a submittal transmittal that went to the courts, district courts, or the common police courts, or did they go into an email through another avenue? I wasn't 100% sure why all of a sudden for 15 months that district courts weren't seeing parking tickets or violations for license inspection, why they weren't seeing safety violations, tickets that were written by our police department why these people weren't getting their day in court over 18 months. Now, that question I asked Solicitor Kilkenny, and that's why I called and asked Solicitor Kilkenny to check in for me about that situation. And for that meeting, Solicitor Kilkenny opted to meet with myself because those concerns were brought about the last meeting. Some information in the public safety meeting, Councilwoman Wagner, Councilwoman Farrelly, and Councilwoman Blackwell were there with Dr. Coles, and we agreed on some of the comments that Dr. Coles had said. If you don't have the proof in front of you, how do you believe the person? And I'll leave it like that. Did you ask the person for the actual permit? And I'll just leave it like that. So I understood what Dr. Coles was saying. So I had made a phone call to Solicitor Kilkenny to find out. There was a lot of moving parts. So I asked Solicitor Kilkenny, and he was willing to meet with myself. And I just left it at that, and we met. And Solicitor Kilkenny, you can continue with the conversation of the ordinance of parking tickets and the following of the rules of the district courts for tickets for L&I, tickets for the police department, and parking tickets.
So that was the entire summary of the meeting. There was no other topics or anything else discussed. That was.
Solicitor Kilkenny, go ahead.
So we, myself and Solicitor Marcini met with President Burke and Councilwoman Farrelly earlier this week. And before that, Solicitor Marcini.
I'm sorry, excuse me. No other members of our Public Safety Committee were invited or knew about this meeting?
Whatever we discussed at our meeting, we discussed with them, with our solicitor.
But we weren't invited to that meeting.
And nor was Vice President Wentz or Secretary Billups.
You're not a part of the Public Safety Committee.
Yes, but I'm part of the leadership of this council.
But you're not a part of the meeting.
Part of the leadership of this council.
All right.
Can he please finish speaking?
So Councilor Marcini,
Wow.
Solicitor Marcini met with Ms. Coles just to go over everything, just to be familiar with the parking program. And what was understood is there was a emphasis or a possibility of the administration working on a pilot program or a program to start to decriminalize parking tickets. There was Ms. Marcini had I believe a copy of a PDF that was provided by the administration, which we shared with President Burke and Councilor Farrelly after the meeting, actually, but she brought it to the meeting. And I was asked by President Burke what should be done in the interim. And I said, well, until council changes the law for parking, then the current law should be followed. And that was, we discussed some other topics around parking, but that was much of what we talked about.
Okay.
I
Thank
don't know,
you.
Ms. Counselor, do you have anything to add?
Just to add one thing, I did leave out the future pilot program, if we can call it that. It was, I believe, quickly read through it or had a conversation. It's a 5-year plan or 3-year plan to decriminalize parking tickets, to keep the money in-house, of what I could understand. And it was a program by a company that entertains big, larger townships. I did not read through the whole thing. The administration and I believe Dr. Coles had acquired this company maybe a couple months ago or something like that. So not 100% sure of the whole program, but Solicitor Kilkenny had mentioned that. So.
Okay,
So if
so,
you have that program in writing so that we can review it, that would be great.
Yes, it's an ordinance that it seems like the administration entertained, or some kind of ordinance they're trying to do through the administration and the parking department that they're looking into. But it's felt that in the past of 14 to 16 or 18 months, that the process was being started already. And I didn't understand why the process was being started without our original ordinance being changed or a new ordinance to be adopted.
Okay.
So that was my question.
So, just a question. So, in the future, with our pending your approval, Solicitor Richardson will be joining us in meetings.
Absolutely.
So you have no issue with that?
No.
All right. Thank you for stating that on the record.
Yep. I'm sorry. Next up, Treasurer's Report. Treasurer, Mr. David Heyman.
Good evening, Council President Burke, Council, Mayor. I think everybody has a copy of my report. So I want to first start out by thanking Donna Stillwell and Diane Scuddy for being available and entertaining my questions a number of times via email and in person to person. They were very helpful in my being able to put this report together. First topic regarding the 2023 budget, the administration and council are engaged in 2023 budget discussions. I did meet with Donna Stillwell and Diane Scuddy to review the administration's proposed budget back on October 29th, and then met with them again on November 15th with the Finance Committee. We haven't yet, that I'm aware of, we haven't yet settled on a budget agreement, but I'm confident that the administration and council are moving toward a budget that's going to serve the township well in the next year. Regarding our October 22nd general fund balance, what this is basically how much money we have left over. As of October 31st, the general fund balance stood at just over $27 million. Final payments were made in November to the municipal fire and police pension funds, which makes it a little bit easier to, yeah, the sound expert here. Makes it a little bit easier to get a grasp on where we're going to be toward the end of this year. And regarding that, I have the end of month October numbers, and when we extrapolate from the general fund balance, October general fund balance, I'm thinking that the end of year fund balance is going to be somewhere in the $10 million range. And in talking to Diane, I think her number was a little bit less, but there should be a decent amount of money going into the new year, which includes the $6 million that council authorized in 2022 for the general fund for revenue replacement. So if you took that $6 million out of that $10 million, you're going to have about what we normally are looking at this time of the year, moving toward the end of the year. Also, it's my understanding that the township retained a consulting firm funded through a grant that is working on a 5-year projected forecast of the township's anticipated revenues and expenses. This is going to be a very, very valuable tool for council, administration, the township to have a better, more certainty moving forward about the finances, rather than us on these year over year trying to figure out where we're going to be, at the end of each year and not having really any vision into the future. So this is going to be a very, very valuable tool when they get done with it. And I think that's going to come, being enabled by the new accounting system that's supposed to go online in the new year. And then I had attached to my report some of the numbers, the funds, the summary of the bank account balances, classified by categories. And we now have the ARPA broken out, as well as the other fund balances broken out, so council can see where those bank accounts stood at the end of October. With a total, if you total it all up, and this includes the ARPA funds that are still restricted, you're at about $73 million. Let me see here. Oh, and then I just gave you my reconciliation of where I thought we were going to be at the end of the year. And so that concludes my report. I look forward to meeting with Donna and Diane again in the beginning of December to reproduce this thing and see if it still looks, like it does as we move toward the end of the year.
Treasurer Hayman, thank you. Anybody from council have a question for Treasurer Hayman?
No, but I'd like to make a motion to approve his report.
Have a motion to second? Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman, thank you. Next up, we have committee reports, Finance Appropriation Committee, Vice President Wentz. We have two public hearing for ordinances. We're going to do them together, I believe. Yes, right? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
because they're ARPA, because
Yeah,
they
'cause they're
pertain
together.
to
They
the
pertain to the
ARPA?
same thing, so we'll have a public
Okay,
hearing for both of them.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So yes, so members of the Finance Committee are Councilman Silva, Councilwoman Wagner, and Councilman Andrusco. And yes, because we did agree in the past for anything that pertains to ARPA, that the ordinances hearings can go together. So the public hearing for 3127 and 3128 pertain to funds that we have allocated on a previous ordinance for the purchasing of these lands for open space. So if we can get a reading on both or an updated reading on 3127 and 3128 before we start the public hearing.
Thank you very much, Vice President Wentz. So I'm going to go ahead and read both of these or summarize both of these and see if people want more detail. And if they want more detail, I'll go a little further.
Summary's good.
Okay, 3127, an ordinance of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, authorizing and approving the acquisition of fee simple interest in Delaware County tax map parcel number 1613-00642007 for use as open space, repealing all inconsistent ordinances and parts thereof. Whereas Upper Darby Township desires to acquire that parcel number on Blanchard Road, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, approximately 6,006 square feet of unimproved land owned by the Moores in order to expand the township's open space inventory and protect historic property for the benefits of township residents. Township Council desires to authorize the acquisition of the fee simple interest in the property, whereas Section 701C6 of the Home Rule Charter requires the township to enact an ordinance to purchase any real property, whereas Township Council desires to enact this ordinance and authorize the approval of it. The price of the property that will be paid is $40,000. There's a repeal clause, a severability clause. There's an attached detailed agreement of sale that anybody could review if they so choose. And also, too, just so the public knows and council knows, this acquisition cost was based and consistent with an appraisal that the township has done. So that would be my reading of 3127, unless if anybody wanted any more detail. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and read 3128 in kind of a similar fashion. An ordinance of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, authorizing and approving the acquisition of fee simple interest in Delaware tax map parcel number 1607-00504 for the use as open space, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof. Whereas Upper Darby Township desires to acquire Delaware County tax map parcel number that I referenced below, and identified as 8001 Lansdowne Avenue, Upper Darby, approximately 32,171 square feet of unimproved land owned by 8001 Lansdale LLC in order to expand the township's open space inventory. Whereas Section 701C6 of the township's Home Rule Charter requires the township to enact an ordinance to purchase any real property, and whereas Township Council desires to enact this ordinance to approve the acquisition of the property. The purchase price of this and the authorization is $300,000, of which is also based on an appraisal. There's a repeal clause, a severability clause, and a detailed agreement of sale also attached to the potential ordinance. So concludes my reading.
Thank you,
Great.
Solicitor Kilkenny. So I officially open the public hearing on ordinance 3127 and 3128 for the public. Whenever.
Joanne Namavong, 133 North Pennock. I just have one question, Mr. Kilkenny. You said that there's an attached agreement of sale.
Yes.
It's not on the website.
Yeah, we can go ahead and, after this we can get you a copy of it. It's not a problem.
Okay, I just, you said it was there. I mean, well, that it was available.
Yeah,
So
it's
if
a much
it's,
thicker document, but it basically lays out we're buying it for $300,000 or,
okay, but that's going to be public.
Yeah, yes. the
Thank you.
agreement of sale will be public.
Thank you.
Sorry, Ms. Kennedy.
Oh, it's okay. Colleen Kennedy, 8723 Westchester Pike. I just have a couple of questions and feel free to answer them or not answer them. I just want them on the record. Since we're in the Finance and Appropriations Committee, I just was curious how often the Finance and Appropriations Committee meets and if all four members generally get invited.
I think there will be more discussion, but I think this is the public hearing on the acquisition of the open space, but.
Okay, so we can't answer whether or not all four members of the Finance Committee get invited to their meetings? Okay, I will answer at a later time in the meeting. It's a pretty easy yes or no question. I would just respectfully ask that for all committees, all of the members get invited to meetings, especially when discussing personnel matters. Thank you.
Anybody else from public about 3127, 3128? Seeing none, I officially close the public hearing on 3127, 3128. Anybody from council?
Well, we can, when, we have the opportunity once we've
Okay,
made
okay.
so I'd like to make a motion to approve 3127, since we have to do it individually.
So move Blackwell.
Individually. So we have a first by Vice President Wentz, second by Councilwoman Blackwell. We'll take a,
Wagner also
I'm sorry,
seconded
Wagner.
it.
We'll open it up for discussion for council. Councilman Silva, Councilwoman Belps. Seeing none,
I'm good at this time. Thank you, Council President Burke.
thank you.
I'm good
Councilman
also,
Silva.
thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Wentz. Secretary Belps. Seeing none, can I get a roll call vote?
Yep. Okay, so Councilman Heyman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Blackwell,
Yes.
Councilman Andrusko,
Yes.
Councilman Siddiq,
Yes.
Councilwoman Faralia,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
President Burke,
Yes.
Secretary Billups,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Tunis,
Yes.
Vice President Wentz is a yes. 11.
11-0, thank
Yep.
you.
And then I'd like to make a motion to approve 3128.
So moved Blackwell.
Okay,
So,
we got a tie there.
yep, I'm marking.
I don't care.
And I'm marking.
Okay.
trying.
Taking credit.
So we'll go to Councilman Silva. Any comment about 3128?
No, again, I'm okay, but thank you for remembering me.
Yep. Fight. Secretary Belps.
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody from council? Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yep, Councilman Heyman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Blackwell,
Yes.
Councilman Andrusko,
Yes.
Councilman Siddiq,
Yes.
Councilwoman Faralia,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
President Burke,
Yes.
Secretary Billups,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Tunis,
Yes.
and Vice President Wentz is a yes. So it's 11.
11-0, thank you.
So,
All right.
and now you get to move on to public safety.
Can I have my question answered now, since the votes are over?
No,
So we can't just answer in the public whether or not different committees are treated differently. If we're going to get work done here, in the finance committee, all the people who agree with each other, we let them know about the meetings. And in other committees, you don't invite people to the meetings. I just would like on the record whether or not Laura Wentz, Matt Silva, Megan Wagner, and Brian Andrusko consistently get invited to their meetings. And if members of color of this council who I voted for are also given that same treatment. And I just don't, like, it would take 20 seconds for you to just answer whether or not the finance committee has a good practice that maybe we could copy over to other committees. So I just don't really
So
understand
it's
why
up
we
to the
can't just
chair
answer and move
it's up
on.
to the chair to invite the members. I have been, when I was president of council, as president, you're invited to every committee meeting. And there are many committee meetings that I was not invited to as president. It's the president's right to attend every single meeting.
Okay, but my
of
understanding
committee.
is for
But
the public.
But just to clarify,
Okay.
it's up to the chair to invite the members. For my meetings that I am chair for, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for others. I invite all finance committee members to all finance committee meetings. For a zoning board, I invite all zoning board members of the committee to zoning board meetings. I had a little confusion at one point in time between whether or not Councilman Hayman or Secretary Billups was in the committee, but everyone got invited, even though one of them technically wasn't on the committee.
So my understanding then is
So-
that the Public Safety
just to
Committee,
clarify.
I'm going to
Vice
finish.
President Wentz, thank you. And Ms. Kennedy, if you have been in here at most of the meetings for the last 2 or 3 meetings.
I have been.
Okay, well, I'd like to clarify one thing.
Okay.
Councilman Tunis has mentioned for 2 or 3 meetings to be included on license and zonings.
Correction, almost a year.
Well, I'll just say for the last 3 meetings. Okay.
Councilman Burke.
And I said to Councilman Tunis and Alexis, Secretary Chichetti, to actually include you on some of those emails that things are coming across. So if that's what you're looking for, that's fine. At this present point, you're out of order. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to be out of order for 10 more seconds.
No, you're
I'm
not.
holding a piece of
You're not
paper.
going to be out of order. Please sit down or I'll remove you
is part of
from,
the Public Safety
I'll remove you
Committee, and I-
from,
Go for it. I really, don't- it doesn't matter. to
Really?
me. Councilman Blackwell is my elected official. I would like her to be invited to future Public Safety Committee meetings. I
And
don't
I'm
think
not
that's
invited.
unreasonable.
For the
Okay,
public
so-
record,
so
she's
she has been
stating the
invited
truth.
and she has
I have
attended.
not been invited.
Thank you.
Blackwell, I wasn't there either. Just,
So-
I wasn't
so,
invited
okay.
either, just so you know.
So you weren't invited, but it's not okay. You and I should have been invited. So
All
we
right,
should
we're
have
gonna
been
move on.
invited. Bottom line, we should have been
Okay,
invited.
we're going to move
Bottom
on,
line.
Public Safety Committee.
And it's on public
Chairwoman,
record that we were not
Chairwoman
invited,
Ferrari.
and we should have been invited, and we
Okay.
should not have been dismissed, because we will not be dismissed.
Nobody dismissed you from.
I just told you, we was not it was just had,
Everything
but we were not divided. We weren't divided,
discussed with the solicitor.
but we weren't there,
That's right. You weren't there.
so we should have been there. Bottom line.
Information was said at our meeting.
Regardless, whatever information was there, we should have been invited physically.
Okay.
Councilwoman Blackwell addressed me
Okay,
appropriately
so
in a public forum.
So Public Safety Committee, I'm going to ask to table the truck ordinance till we further do more discussion on that. We have a meeting
Second.
on the 29th of the month.
But
Can I just ask while we're, can I just
technically,
ask?
we're out of order because it's scheduled for a public hearing. We have to do the public
Okay,
hearing
that's
before we
fine.
do
Okay.
the tabling of it. Is that correct? We have to do a public
There's
hearing
no,
because it's on
there's
the
no
agenda.
requirement to do the public hearing unless you intend to take action.
That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, that's great.
So
I
we
just
have-
was under the understanding.
So we have a vote. We have it on the floor to table
Okay, great.
ordinance
Sorry.
3117.
And I
Do
just
have a
seconded
Second?
I second it.
Okay, we have,
Blackwell seconded.
Danielle,
yeah,
second something
so we have
again.
Councilwoman
I did.
Blackwell to
I
second.
seconded, and you seconded the other thing,
I got
and
it.
Michelle
We
got it.
Okay.
Okay.
At the beginning,
All right.
you had seconded, and Michelle
My
got
main
it.
concern, excuse me.
I know, it didn't work.
I agree with tabling this. We've received a couple emails. I believe all of council received a couple emails for some of the sizes of the trucks and to get to a better understanding. Unfortunately, we're tabling this. Councilman Tunis.
And I have-
Okay, everyone just take a breath, okay? So as far as the ordinance, I just want to make sure the public was aware because I understand your response, but you're saying a lot of things that to them is just like words. They need to know from the public safety perspective, because those are the people working on the ordinance, why it's being tabled.
Okay.
Just because I have to go out and people are going to ask me on Avon Road,
Okay, here.
why is it
And I'm
tabled?
going to explain why.
I was just agreeing to the table, that's all.
I've got numerous emails and they have been sent to everybody on public safety that people are having issues about the parking, about the trucks being 8 feet long instead of 7 feet, dual tires, not dual tires, too wide, too narrow, two-sided parking, not safe for a fire truck. One of the streets is considered a snow emergency route that's on there that is allowing two-side parking. So there needs to be more clarification on this ordinance. And I did send it to the solicitor to look over with some ideas that I have. I sent an email out today for the whole Public Safety Committee to meet on November 29th to discuss it further. And then we'll bring it back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, real quick, I know I'm busy on November 29th. If somebody would like to take my spot, please email.
Right here.
All right, you know what, Hafiz, you're in, okay? And I've said that before to you, okay? So,
And for those who are watching the time, November 29th, she's scheduled for 5:30. I get off work at 5:30, so I have to run there and travel.
So do you want to push it to 6? I can't go no later.
6 is best. Thank you.
okay,
If you do 5:30, I'll be late.
okay.
I'll get there. I'll get there. I'll get there. I get off at 5:30. We all work. As mentioned, we all work. Got to remind the Republic of the public.
So, in reference, and thank you, Councilwoman Faralia. So one of the other concerns was that the way the ordinance is written, it implies that commercial vehicles would be allowed to park on streets where
We're gonna
streets
discuss that
have
later.
already been, the residents have already put around a petition to make sure that commercial vehicles did not park on their street. So that was one of the concerns, was that the way this ordinance is written is that commercial vehicles, if they were had a truck within 8 feet wide, they would be allowed to park on the residential streets. And that's one of the things that the residents had a lot of concerns with, because they had gone through the petitioning process to get commercial vehicles removed from their streets. So, and also, I think the reference to the map, I think the map is a suggestion of these are the streets that it could be on, not that it will be on. And I think that was a clarification that we also kind of missed. And that's one of the concerns that I had multiple conversations with multiple residents. And those were some of the concerns that Councilwoman Frawley had not specifically mentioned that I wanted to highlight.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Vice
Mr.
President.
Galante, are you able to come to that meeting since you can maybe decipher the streets that are on that map?
So,
Yeah.
so where is it? 6 o'clock. Where is it? Here?
I was going to say, yeah, if it could be here.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, Mike's here anyway, right?
I'm always around.
Yeah.
All right,
Mike's always
thank
around.
you.
29. Councilman Heyman.
Two things. One, Councilman Silva, you are off mute and the breathing is, I apologize, it is kind of distracting. Sorry, but thank you. The other thing I wanted to just address, I want to address this delicately. I have had many concerns on this council with behaviors, things that were brought to me by other members of council, people of color. I'm not the leader on those issues, and I don't need to be. We have many fantastic advocates that serve on this council and in this community that can discuss their concerns or thought on actions, whether they're racially motivated. What I will say, I know no part in the meeting that took place, but Councilwoman Faralia has been communicative with me, and that she has consistently let us know about information, and I don't believe that in this instance, what the meeting that happened between President Burke and our solicitor and Councilor Faralia, different situation. I would like to have been able to at least have the opportunity to participate, but generally speaking, I think she's been fantastic in being communicative, and I don't want to criticize her for that. I'd like to save that for when I have a criticism.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go to Vice President. I was not Vice President, I meant to say Secretary Billups, if she had anything to say about tabling, and then Councilman Silva, and then back to you, Councilman Tunis, if that's okay.
No, I don't have an issue with tabling it, but I do have a question. Can I ask a question of Mike Galante?
He just snuck out.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I don't know, maybe someone else can answer it. So I get it that the Public Safety Committee has not had a chance to really go over the ordinance, because I too have gotten a lot of those emails. But if anyone knows, because it says on there, I know it was a typo on there also, but I think that was fixed. So I don't know if everyone got the correct copy about that. That's one. Two, I also know that it was my understanding, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, about because of the whole map thing, that the streets marked in yellow, that those trucks, commercial trucks, will not be allowed on those streets, and the signs will not be removed, and they will get new signs saying that. That was my understanding. And the on the map, the green streets, whatever they are, because I'm not looking at it, those are the ones that the trucks will not be allowed, will be allowed on, because of parking and fire trucks and all that stuff like that. So I'm not sure. That's why I was saying if Mike Galante was there.
Secretary Billups, it looks like it might be, you could email Mike Galante and also Councilwoman Farrelly with the concerns of the questions of the street. Not 100% sure if this is going to get done in one meeting. So I'm sure after one meeting, there'll be some other questions after people really look into it. So it's a work in progress, and Councilman Tunis jumped in these spots.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's something that our township does need, and public safety, I think you guys do need to look at it and hash out, because I agree, there's some streets in Upper Darby that are really narrow. So so trucks should not be able to park on those blocks. And for all the reasons that a lot of the residents sent those emails out. So
I think we have a good footprint to work from. And then I believe they'll work hard over the next couple of weeks, and maybe we can get this, in January. I don't know about December, but I think they're going to work hard. Councilman Tunis, hold on. Councilman Silva, are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm actually in agreement as far as tabling the ordinance at this time, just because, actually, like when the resident voiced their concerns, it is pretty, 8 feet is significantly wide for a vehicle. There's actually not that many vehicles that overtake that, just very few. So, but I do believe that this does need to get completed as far as us, like, having an accurate definition for what entails a truck. So, like, everybody's quarter-ton pickup truck isn't, lumped in with a semi or a box truck or something. But at the same time too, it's also meaningless the other way if a fire truck could literally park on the same street as a citation. So but that's all I have. But I know we'll discuss that more at a later date when it's brought forward again.
Thank you, Councilman Silva. Councilman Tunis, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if we can I know a lot of residents are under pressure, but for us to get this right, we have to take our time. Like, we can't bring it back here and table it. So if we could, either if it's in an executive session where we have to look at the maps together, but can we just make sure when we're bringing it forward, and I'm going to Councilwoman Farrelly is inviting me to the meeting, so I'll state that in the meeting as well. But before we bring it to the public, let's make sure we're all on board with it. So we save everyone's time.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know, Mayor, Solicitor Kilkenny, would it be possible, I don't know, to put the map up on the website as a conversation or comments, or? No, I'm asking.
It's on the website.
The whole map's on there?
The problem is it's really small.
Okay.
So
All right,
if we can, if there's any way the larger map could be.
So, okay, all right, that's fine. I just, Yeah, okay, sounds good.
But I believe he has a larger placard, a larger board of the maps. So if maybe for the next council meeting, even though it may not be brought up at the next council meeting, if it could be out on one of those easels, then people could come and look at it and,
That should
we could gather some information that way.
Yeah, that would be great, but the main thing is I want council members to fully
Understand.
see it. So if I'm in Acme and I get stopped, I can just,
No, I agree. So since we've seen all the comments, I'll take a roll call vote on the table. And that is table in 3117.
Yep. Okay, so the vote to table 3117. If you vote yes, you're voting to table, just for clarification. Councilman Heyman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Blackwell,
Yes, let's table.
Councilman Andrusko,
Yes.
Councilman Siddiq,
Yes.
Councilwoman Faralia,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
President Burke,
Yes.
Secretary Billups,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Tunis,
Yes.
Vice President Wentz is a yes. So that's 11 to table. 11-0. Hey, we do work together sometimes. We do work together.
If you have less, let's talk after. So
Thank you. Next up, we have a solicitor's report.
Thank you very much, President Burke. I did want to bring, wow, the talent. One thing to council's attention. Previously, during public comment, I was asked.
Excuse me,
if
Solicitor
you-
Kilkenny, can you just speak into the mic?
Okay. No, it's pretty close. So I was asked during public comment if it was required that a line item budget be released. I was unaware of research my firm previously did because there was, I guess, a right to know request from Mr. McIntosh asking for it. It's not required that the line item budget be released. It's a judgment call from the administration. So I just wanted to clear that up whatsoever. And I sent that to Ms. Stillwell, so she's aware. I guess she'll get guidance from the mayor as to what they want to do. But I just want to be clear, legally, there's no requirement that the line item budget be released. So my bad. I just wanted to clear that up right here.
Right,
Thank you,
and
Solicitor.
I just.
But it can be released
It
if the
can
administration
be, it's
so
not
chooses. Right.
illegal to release it. It's just.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. You understand? Yeah. Right, exactly. So, yeah.
Thank you, Solicitor Kilkenny. Next up, old business. Councilman Heyman.
So on Saturday, I co-hosted a winter coat giveaway from the winter coats we raised partnership with Operation Warm with the Byward Community Association and Pastor Nate Goodson. In total, we raised, actually, I think now we're over $3,000 that we raised for winter coats, which was initially 100 coats, but I'd like to thank our donors. Brinker Simpson and Company LLC sponsored this event with their monthly dress down and raised over $600. It came a little bit late, so we actually got about another 30 winter coats that are coming in on top of it, thanks to Brinker's contribution. And I'm going to bring that directly to Bywood Elementary School is the plan, to have them distribute to students in need. But I also want to thank down our other donors, Kilkenny Law, Special Needs Advocacy Services LLC, Councilwoman Danielle Blackwell, Councilman Brian Andrusko, for your contributions as well. They were extremely helpful. It was really wonderful. I would definitely want to do this again next year. The link is still open, so if you want to contribute, I think we should keep doing this. So the event was successful. A lot of people came and got winter coats. We still have some left over, so if you know anybody that needs a winter coat, family with a kid, sizes 4 through 14, please send them our way.
Thank you, Councilman Heyman. I have some. Councilwoman Farrelly.
This has to do with the ARPA funds. That's not old business? Oh, all right. Can you hear me? So I know that we allocated $3,500 for all the essential workers out of the ARPA funds. So I know that there was, well, I just heard that between like the firemen And I guess the administration, they had made an agreement to pay just the retirees $1,000, and the same thing with the police department. So, but if we allocated $3,500, if the people that retired worked all during COVID and just retired this year, shouldn't they be able to get the $3,500 across the board?
So this was bargained for, though. This is something that their union signed for, is my understanding, right?
Yeah.
So they agreed to it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that, but we allocated that other money. Is there any way that we could just go back on there and say, you know, we're going to give them this, or no? You can't do that. I mean, I just think that it's fair. Like if you just retired in May of this year, but you worked all through COVID, I still think that there's.
It might be staggered. I don't know that. Why don't we, can we talk about this in executive session and go over it?
Yeah, I don't care.
Because I mean, if we're going to, both parties are bargaining over things. And if you're not in agreement with it and you're just going to give the money anyway, there's no point in bargaining, is there? Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking with your question.
Yeah, but we said we were going to allocate that money to them in the beginning, so I don't know why they, for a bargain, if we already agreed on.
That's the bargaining process, though, I think, but let's talk about it. Not right now, okay? Because I'm not totally prepared to answer, except to give the answer that I just gave you, which was, this was bargained for, so they agreed to it. Okay.
Oh, Vice President Wentz.
Yeah, so I just wanted to thank everyone who came out to the Archer Epler Veterans Day event. It was greatly appreciated. And I did bring some Veterans Affair newspapers. I don't know if they're still on the railing there. Please take one home with you. If you want one and you didn't get one, Archer Epler is open on Monday nights from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I know that it says members only on the door, but if you want to, go in, go ahead and go in. Don't let that sign stop you to, go and talk to veterans and get more information about them. They also have the marching, the Drum and Bugle Corps Pageantry Museum in the same building. So there's a lot of things to learn in that space and a lot of great people to talk to. And they would love to, see, new people and have more, they need more veterans to join the VFW. And actually, I think the American Legion, the 274 American Legion, their post is on Chestnut near 69th Street. They too are looking for new members. They also have a space that could be rented out. So if you're looking for a space to do events, they have a great space for that. I know Tailor Made Vets does a meeting every month there, but that's also a great venue. And then our Marine Corps League, I'm not sure the hours that they're open, but they do have a Facebook page, and they too have a museum within their building. So please support our veterans and our different posts that we have in Upper Darby. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for old business?
Sure. So last Saturday, I participated in an event where we gave out over 100 hats, scarves, and gloves at 69th Street to those that needed it.
Thank you.
For the Zacket Foundation as well.
Okay. Seeing nobody else on old business, we'll move to new business.
I would like to no, I'm not making a motion. I'm joking. Just want to make the public aware this Saturday, myself, Councilman Sadiq, Councilwoman Blackwell, Billups, and Mayor Keffer will be giving out turkeys at 69th Street Athletic Field. Councilman Heyman will also have some jackets there, as we just learned. So if anyone wants to volunteer, stop by. Our list is pretty much reaching capacity, but walk-ins are welcome. And just like School Board President Ed Brown said, he will be giving out turkey dinners at Murphy's Given Market this Tuesday as well.
What time on Saturday, Councilman?
11 a.m. to Saturday. We're going to end when we run out. As for School Board President Brown's event, I believe you have to ask him, but I'm pretty sure it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I think he was going to send us an email.
Okay.
President. Councilman Andrushko?
Yeah, excuse me, 2 items. I had a resident over in Drexel Park ask me for a petition for a stop sign. Secretary Cicchetti asked me to just bring it to public safety first and then get the petition made up. So just bringing it to your guys' attention. Secondly, I have a signed petition here for the installation of a no parking of trucks or commercial vehicles, which I guess could get a little interesting depending on how we go. But it's signed, so I'm going to turn this over to you after.
Councilman Tunis, you want to look at that for me?
I'm good. It's not the 7th District.
Secretary Billups, anything on new business?
No, I'm good today.
Thank you. Councilman Silva,
I'm also good. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else from council? Seeing none, I get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you.
Good job.